Hello, and welcome to another video tutorial. In this session, we're going to be looking at masking. So if we say masking, what are we talking about? Masking basically is a process of using a shape on one layer to display what is visible on another layer. So to create a mask, first of all, the mask layer must be placed above the content you want to show. And then the mask layer must again contain either a shape or a text, not just an outline. And then the top layer is set to max. And then once you set it to a max, what happens is that every other thing is hidden except the area inside the shape or the text. Now the max layer is locked to get it activated, right? Now, two main ways to mask is one, the content masking, in which case um, you have the mask layer containing either a shape or a text, and then you have a content below the mask layer. And once the mask layer is activated, it displays part of the content that is below the mask layer. And then we also have the animated masking where there's a motion twin or a shape twin apply within either the mask layer or a layer below the mask layer to cause either some movement, in which case um, to reveal or hide content gradually. Is that okay? So I haven't mentioned about masking. Let's now dive to let's now dive to um, Adobe Animate to really practicalize what we have seen so far. So to explain the concept of masking, what I'm going to do is to bring in an oval shape. So I'll draw this circle on stage, right, right, right here. Now, with what I'm going to demonstrate, the color of the fill is not important. All right, so the color can be anything. It doesn't really matter. And then, so I'm going to label this here as masking. Okay, underscore layer, so that we know that that is going to be the layer that's going to be used for the masking. And then next, I bring in a new layer that's going to have the content. And we mentioned that the mask layer must be at the top, and then the content layer must be below it. So I'm going to name this here as content. All right. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is going to bring in a content on this layer here. So I'll hide this sphere, circle, right, on the mask layer. Right. So right there. So I go to File, Import. All right, sorry, on the content layer, go to File, Import, and then import to Stage. I'm going to import the marketing. All right, now I'm going to I'm going to hide this here. Now, let's assume I want to have the head or this section of this track pusher showing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the mask layer, double click on this here, and then bring that circle just above. So what it means is that if I apply on the mask, the area of this image will display. That means the head of the man, and I think part of this car, and whoever or whatever is within this circle here will be displayed. Every other thing on this image will be hidden. Right, that is basically what masking is about. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and click on the mask. So right click on the masking layer and then click on mask. So you notice that when that is done, every other item on that picture is hidden. The only thing that is displayed is the head and anything within the circle on that image. So basically, that is all masking is about, right? So what we're going to do is to take this a step further to create the illusion of a moving globe, right? So I'm going to go back to unlock this here. Now, again, we mentioned that if the mask layer is not locked, it will not be activated, right? So you can see that once it's unlocked, every other object is back on stage. But once I click on lock, it's activated, right? So I'm going to unlock this here, and I'm going to remove the content on this layer and bring in something else, right? So I'm going to unmask everything. So I'm removing the max, and then here I'm going to remove the content on the stage, right? So on the first frame, I'm going to delete that here, and I'm going to make this much bigger. Um, so much bigger, um, right there. Okay, so this is fine. All right, so I'm going to copy the same shape here, and I'm going to the content layer, and then I'm going to paste it, right? So paste in place. So it's going to be at the same place where I have the masking layer for the first one. Okay. All right. So still on the content layer, I'm going to change this sphere here to have a gradient fill so that it appear more or less like a sphere, because now it's just like a circle and that doesn't depict the globe, right? So we're going to double click on this and go to properties, and within the fill, we click on the gradient option here. So now this looks um, closer to a sphere, right? Or like a sphere if we click outside. All right, now I'm going to convert this here to a symbol. So right click and then convert to a symbol. So we'll name that as F and click on OK. Now, whenever you convert an object to a symbol, you can change the opacity, which is also referred to as the transparency, or I mean, of the object. In Adobe Animate, to refer to that as alpha. So under color effect, you see none. You click on it and come to alpha, and then reduce that to, let's say, about 40 or 37. That is fine. All right. Now we are almost through creating our globe. Right. Now, what we're going to do next is to bring in the world map. So I'm going to rename this as F. Okay. And then I'm going to bring another layer below and name that layer as map. All right. So I'm going to bring the map on stage. So go to fill, file, import, import to stage, and then I bring in a map. All right. So what happens now is that when I click on mask, what will happen is that this F here will be displayed. Um, so let's go ahead and click on mask on the masking layer. Um, Now you notice that even though I have clicked on it, the map is not hidden because the map is not part of the mask layer. So I'm going to drag the map and attach it to that. And I'm just going to click on the hide and show again. All right. All right. So this needs to be locked. All right. So once that is done, you notice that now this looks like a sphere. So this is the layer masking, in which case there's no motion. All right. All right. Now let's go ahead and do the animated option, where I'm going to apply some motion twin or classic twin to this to make it behave as if the globe is rotating. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock the map layer, and I'll come to the 120 timeline for each of the layers, and then hold the shift key and then insert a frame, right? So, all right. So once a frame is inserted, basically it's a span within a time frame, right? So I'm going to go to the map layer and then create a motion twin. First of all, I should have converted the map layer into a symbol. So I just go ahead and click on OK. And then I come to the last frame and then hold the map and drag it gradually, holding the shift key to the end. All right. Now, once that is done, we have a motion twin. So when I click, I see the map moving. All right. All right. So the next thing to do is to mask the layer by hiding or locking this here. And when you click on it, you notice that the globe is moving. Right. Now, that is all there is to masking. So in this particular instance, this is how to create the illusion of a world map rotating. All right. Um, I think we haven't touched on loop. So if you click on the loop layer and drag it all the way to the end and play, what happens is that the wall keep rotating and doesn't come to a stop or a halt. All right. So this is one instance of creating um, a masking or creating masking. Let's take another example, in which case we're going to create the illusion of an orca coming out of an ocean. So we begin with the background. So we import to stage a background, and we're just going to label that as back G, right? And then we bring in a new layer that to hold the orca. And so we import again to stage an orca. We use a free transform to rotate the orca. Now I want the orca to come out of this ripple, the center of the ripple. So I'll place it right there. Okay. And next I'm going to use another layer, which I'm going to call the mask layer, and draw a rectangle just above that there. So um, I'm going to drag it up. Okay. Now, when I apply the max, it means that when I drag the fish, um, the orca up there, no part of it should come out of the rectangle box. Any part that comes out will not be displayed. So this rectangle is big enough to cover the entire orca. All right. Sorry. So what I'm going to do now is going to extend this to the 50th frame and then insert a frame. Holding the shift key, I insert a frame for all three. Next, I'll apply a motion twin and convert it to a symbol. The playhead being at the last end, I'll drag the orca up through to that. It shouldn't go above the white layer, if not that will not display. So just right there. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to click on the mask layer and click on mask. All right. Now, if we take the playhead bar, you notice that it creates the illusion of the orca coming out of the sea, of the ocean. Right. So That is also another example of how um, masking can be applied. We'll take another example. So let's take another example where we use the text to create a mask layer. So we're going to type in the text, run to Jesus, all right? Okay, and then so this is going to be the mask layer. So I'll just name it as mask, and then bring in a new layer right below that. I'm going to label that as green. I'll bring in another layer and label that as blue. And then finally, I'll bring in another layer and label that as yellow. So what I want to achieve is that I want the text run to Jesus. So right here, I'm going to change the color of the text to black, right? So what we want to do is that we want the color green to be the first to display the word run to Jesus. Okay. So what I'm going to do is as a 1 second timeline, I will insert a frame. Now you notice that there's actually nothing on um, this layer. All right. So we want this here to display the test green. All right. So I want the text to be displayed in a green color, a green color. So what I'm going to do is to pick up a rectangle two and pick up a greenish color. So I'll pick this and then drag that above the text run to Jesus. Now, so what is going to happen is that if I max the first layer, so if I click this and say max and take the green layer below um, that max layer, what will happen is that it will display the text run to Jesus in green. Okay. Um, so we're going to leave it this way. Now, this here is going to be yellow. So I want that to display in yellow. So first I'm going to unmax, right? So this here should now change from green to yellow, right? However, I want the green to span for 1 second. So at 1 second, I'm going to insert a frame. So the text run to Jesus should stay on to 1 second, right? So I'm going to bring back the max layer also to 1 second, right? So you can see that that is in green. Okay. Now we want to have the yellow. So my playhead on the 1 second timeline, I pick the rectangle 2 again and then change the color to a yellowish color. And then I'm going to draw on that layer. I don't have a frame there, so I'm going to insert a frame. Okay, so I'm going to draw on that layer the text yellow, right? So if I hide the green, you notice that we have a yellow background on that, right? Now, however, this layer here is starting from the same timeline as the green one. That is not what I'm interested in. I want it to start after the one, just when the green is ending. So I'll drag that to this place and then extend the max layer to the 2 second timeline. All right. Okay. So if I again come in here, I should have the yellow right there. So this here is going to be yellow, right? All the way to this point. But again, I want the green writing to stay on till the yellow is done. So I'm going to drag that to come to this far. All right. Finally, I'm going to get a blue. So I'm going to hide that of yellow. Click on the rectangle too and pick a bluish color. And again, draw um, over that. I'm asked to insert a frame. So that has been done. Okay, so right here, there's a frame there. So I'm going to draw right over this. Okay, so a frame has been inserted, and I'm going to insert a frame. So it's going to expand from that place. Now, again, I want this here to happen only when the yellow is done. So I extend this to that part of the yellow, and this is yellow, and yellow should stay on. Um, so let's just make it 3 seconds. And so I extend this also to 3 seconds. So what will happen is that the color yellow will still stay on till we have the blue come up fully. All right. Now we're going to apply the marks, all right, and then drag this up and drag that also up. So, and then we're going to lock all the layers, just open and close, right? So now you notice that I have a green and then it stays green. And then at this point, the color needs to change to yellow and then to blue, but that is not happening. So what is going to happen? I'm going to drag the yellow above the green. Okay. So now if I come, I have green, then it stays on, and then it comes to yellow, and then stays on right there. Now again, I want the blue to display right after the yellow. So I'm going to drag also up above the yellow. So now you notice that the process kind of like inverted. So I have the greenish color, and then it turns to yellow, and then now turns to the bluish color as we move in there, right? Okay, so if we play this, we're going to look something so, right? Um, this, that. Now, at this point, we notice that one layer is overlaying each other. So we're just going to adjust that. So holding the blue, I'll drag it to cover the yellow. And so if I move to that, that should be, shouldn't display two colors, right? So again, that is fine. All right. So if I play, it stays green to yellow and that, all right. So let's swap and see how this works. All right. So now I want the max layer to extend all the way to that timeline. Okay, so if we play, it stays green, blue, and then that's it. All right. So basically that is it. So we can also apply a motion twin to what we have done. Okay, such that it moves gradually to yellow and then moves gradually to blue and stays on. We can apply a third color so that the color changes from one to the other, and that's it. All right, so that is also another way to apply a max, but in this case, we are using a text to create a max. So you notice here that the colors on the layers below are what's cut into the name Run to Jesus or the word Run to Jesus, right? And not the color on the max layer. So this brings us to the end of this video tutorial on maxing. We will look at other interesting tutorials later. So till we meet again, bye bye.